Hi everyone, I'm just getting set up here for the class. I'll be making these two cards using the new storyteller set that you guys got in your retreat kit. Sorry. I'm just gonna make sure my laptop is showing that it's the right way. Looks like it. I'm just gonna press unmute on my laptop for a second here just to see if the volume's okay. Oh, I need to... Oh, yeah, okay. Press mute again so you guys don't have to hear me twice. All right, I'm just gonna expand this so I can see your guys' comments. Hope that looks okay. It's a little washed out. I'm kind of having some cloudiness going on because there's a lot of smoke in the area at the moment. So if the colors look, thank you, Carla. If the colors look a little bit less vibrant on the screen than they are in real life. But that's okay. Good, thanks, Carla. So I'm just gonna give it a few moments here and then we'll get started. This class is, it's actually pretty easy, and it makes a card if I turn it sideways like this. And see, it sits nicely on a table. Oh, maybe if I just angle it like that. Yeah, we basically had emergency alerts all night last night. So it actually kind of scared me because one of the fires is basically about 10 blocks away from me. But the wind was blowing in the opposite direction. So we didn't have to get evacuated, but anyone in that general area did last night, and they're all going into the city. So you're into our little town. And so I'm not quite sure. I might have to tomorrow go see if I need to volunteer just to help with the animals. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that. They're asking for help. So yeah, I wasn't super concerned about it last night because I asked my mom because I'm really bad at telling what range roads and township roads are. I was like, that's nowhere near me, right? And the first alert wasn't. It was pretty far away. But then the second alert said it was just in a field, actually about 3 blocks away from my work. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, it's smoky here, so if my throat sounds a little tender, that's why. But otherwise, I don't even see smoke in the area. I can tell that there is some in the air, but basically my aunt and uncle could see the smoke from their house. So you'll just play it safe. If you do hear any weird alarm, it's probably them. So I'll have to check the message if it shows up, but we haven't had any this morning, any alarms, so. Anyway, we won't worry about sad things like that at the moment. We're gonna do some fun crafting instead. So these two cards are called a Faux Stepper card, and the reason they're called that is when you have it standing like this, it just sits upwards, and there is a little step. It's really easy to do, and I love these papers. I made it for fun. It was hard to actually decide which papers to pick in the kit. But there is one thing we need to do when we're designing the pixie one. If you want to have this life is behind here. So I'll go over that in a moment. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with making the card base because it's really simple, and then we'll start. We'll probably do the card base, then we'll color the pixie. I'll do the pixie card first, and then we'll put all the elements on. And then we'll color up the dragon and quickly make that one too. So I'm just gonna try and keep this in the corner. I just left this pattern paper here so that I can kind of know where I am situated on the table. If anybody has any questions or needs me to repeat steps, let me know. I did make some guides for us to hopefully help with knowing where to score. So first thing we need is our cardstock that we're going to use for our base. Now, I might have to turn my trimmer this way if I'm going to keep my card up there. Or actually, just move my other card away and move my pens over here. move this down a bit so that we can see, hopefully me in frame. So you may have already done this for prep. I didn't really make prep because it, again, it is a pretty simple card, but the first thing we're gonna do is cut, if you haven't done it already. I'm just gonna grab my templates out so that we have those ready too, so you guys can see what those are. How's everybody else? Hope, I don't know, like, I don't think, is there any fires over by you, Carla? I didn't hear if any Calgary had any issues. Okay, if I have this up here, no, you guys can't see. All right. Well, we might have to move our little pixie to the side for all the cutting. Put that back in frame. Sorry guys, still getting used to how to do all this. I'm fairly new with when it comes to, actually it's upside down too. I'm fairly new when it comes to doing videos and lives still. So first we're gonna take our 8.5 by 11 cardstock base. I'm using a pretty thick one. I like the 110, but I think you could probably get away with like an 80 pound or, but yeah, potentially something in between too. You just, the thicker the base I like because it just holds my folds a little bit better. Actually, how can I do this so that you guys can see the scoring guide better? Okay, I can go over a bit over here. Okay. So we're gonna cut our paper 9 inches long by 4.5 wide. Fairly simple. We're all used to cutting our paper, so just opening up mine so I can cut my 9 inches long. And then I flip my paper and go to 4.5. Which you guys probably can't see, but I mean, if anybody needs me to show you, oh, you can see it. Okay. I'll move over a bit. So, and we'll have some scraps. And as you can see, that matches that. And then, actually, we can use this. We can use the other half that we cut off to make our second cut. So you might not need 2 pieces of cardstock, like I said. So for the second one, we want 8.5 long by 2.5 wide. Do I have that? Pretty much. Just cut off a little bit here. Hi, Jennifer. We're just cutting our bases for the project right now. So, let me know if everybody's okay with that, if you're joining along. Again, I know that's pretty simple, but I just want to make sure that we're all about the same. Sorry, my computer's loading here for a second. Okay. And then you're going to grab your, whatever you're going to use to score next. So I'm just grabbing my bone folder. Here. Just moving those so you can see the dimensions if you need to. Everybody doing okay so far? I'm going to go ahead with scoring once I know it's okay to go ahead here. Well, nobody's saying that they need me to stop, so I'll continue on. I'm going to score this one as per my guide up here. So when we score, we're going to score at 1 1/4, 2 1/2 inches. Sorry, these are inches, by the way. Okay, no worries. And 5 3/4. So I'll start with the 1 1/4, and I use my cutting board, like my cutting trimmer. Sorry, that's the word, trimmer, to score my lines. But you can grab a scoreboard if you wanted. I'm just lazy. I don't like grabbing more things than if I don't need to. So I'm gonna start with the 1 1/4. Sorry, 1 1/4. Actually, I usually start at the bottom. You guys probably can't see what I'm doing, but just making a line from 1 1/4 from the top to the bottom. I'm left-handed, so I gotta work my way around my trimmer sometimes too. And then we're gonna score at 2 1/2. Oh, paper moved a little bit there. And I just realized I'm not scoring at 2 1/2. It's okay, I'll just hide it. All right, 2 1/2. Double check before you score. That line will be covered up with paper, so it's all good. And then 5 3/4. Okay, 5 3/4. We won't fold yet. I'll just put that to the side and I'll score the second one. So with this one, we are going to score at the 5 1/2 mark on the lengthwise. So from the top to the bottom. It's as simple as that for those score lines for us. Now I'm just going to grab the pattern paper, and if you have already done this, sorry, I didn't cut mine beforehand, but I just wanted to go over something if you haven't already cut, or if you're watching and you want to do it later. When I got my kit, we all share, the Kraftin Kimmie team shares one kit between all of us, so whatever you guys got in your kit, we got pieces and bits from what we wanted. So when I requested my paper, I wanted to have this one where it says these, and it's the blue type on the back. Now you might have used this piece up here for another class because I got the bottom half as a double. I had the paper, so I just grabbed it. If you already cut into this piece and you just can't find it in your kit, don't worry about it. It's just an added extra night. I just liked having Life is Magical, but you don't have to use that piece. But I'm going to cut that off right now so that I can make sure that I have that saved for my card. As you can see, I'll just pull in the card again. I used just a little piece here where it says Life is. So I covered up the like a camera. Even though I like that life is like a camera, that's cool. I like the idea that it said life is magical. But again, if you don't have this piece because you used it for another class, no worries. We can put anything behind there. But since I did that for my project, I'm going to cut it right now. So what I did was I just cut this piece fully first and then I put it aside. And even cut off like life is like you just take off a piece. I'm just gonna cut life is like and I'm just cutting it so that we'll end up having just this little piece here. Hope that makes sense. Again, if you're watching the replay and you have any questions, feel free to tag me so that we know, we know it to answer your question. So I'm just gonna put that piece aside, and then we're gonna just start cutting our papers. So first we're gonna cut pattern paper 1 at 1 inch by 4/4, and it's gonna go down, or sorry, 1 inch by 4 inches. So that's gonna be our little typewriter piece. I'm just gonna flip over that piece of paper I just used because we have the typewriter keys on the back of it. Actually, I'm just gonna use the one that Kim gave me instead of for this part, just so that it's the same as what you guys have in your kits. And I'm gonna cut this 1 inch by 4 inches. So I'm just gonna cut out 1 inch off first. You're gonna have scraps from this project that you can use for other things. So I'm just taking a generous cut on mine. So I cut it 1 inch, and then I'm gonna cut it 4 inches. And there's another little piece of scrap you can use for something else. So that's one of our pieces of pattern paper. We need the stripe, the colorful stripe piece. And the colorful stripe piece we're going to cut at 3 inches by 4 inches. So on the back it's typewriter, black typewriter. On the front it's colorful stripes. So we're going to use the colorful stripes side. And so I'll cut it at 4. Actually, I'm going to cut it, sorry, hopefully somebody didn't cut yet, but it's not a big deal if you did. I did 3 by 4. So sorry, I cut 3 inches first from the paper. And then I turned it, and I think it's pretty much 4 anyway. Yep. Everybody enjoying the retreat so far? I haven't had a chance to look at the videos from the other day, so I'll have to go and do that. I'm looking forward to looking at Melanie's class. I love when she watercolors, and then seeing everybody else's projects and how we all use the kits. We have so many magical projects. That's so exciting. So that was paper 1, paper 2. And now we can fold, or actually, sorry. I don't know if I'm following my instructions on the computer. I'm going from my sheet that I wrote. So I'm going to cut the purple plaid. Hopefully this isn't confusing for people, but if it is, let me know. I am going to cut this one at 5 1/4 by 2 inches. So we're going to cut, I'm going to cut the 2 inches off first. And this paper has a beautiful little blue spot that if you wanted to save, you might want to cut over here. And actually I went to the small, did I do? No, I did the big pattern. I did the big pattern side on this one. So I'll cut to my 2 inches first. And save that piece for the other card. And 5 1/4, or 5 1/4, yes. And then we'll go to folding the card up. And then we'll color the pixie. There's another little piece of scraps you can use for another project. So, you should have for your pattern paper, the purple plaid, the rainbow stripe, and a little piece of blue typewriter paper. You can also, if you did grab and you did cut off that Life Is, we'll cut that one right now too. Just have to find it again. Oh. Sometimes become a pretty chaotic crafter. Flip it over here. Oh, where did I put it? Must be in my little bag here. Oh, there it is. Oh, sorry again for the coughing. So I'm just taking my life is like and we're just going to trim it down. I trimmed pretty much to like I just kind of cut it off so that we mostly just get the frame. But we have a little bit on this side too. So I'm going to just start by finding where my edges of the frame on here. Sorry, this isn't very mathematic. I like the flower, so I wanted to keep it for something else. But since we're not going to see most of it. And then I'm just going to cut off about 1/2 inch from the other side. Actually, maybe a full 3/4. Oh, sorry, 1/2 inch. Now my card I did cut off right up to the life is, but I'm going to leave this Leica so that it can hide under this butterfly basically in the magical. So there's that piece cut. Then we need to find our butterfly ephemera too. And I'm going to put everything aside so that you guys aren't waiting for me to grab everything we need. Right, put it all in a little baggie so I can find it. So in your kit, you should have this beautiful butterfly that says magical. And I'll put that there too. And then we'll decorate with some gems and stuff after we color our pixie. But first we're gonna score our paper. So we're gonna take the paper we scored it, we're gonna fold it. Do I want to glue first? I'm gonna fold it and then I'll glue. You can also glue first and then fold it, whatever works for you guys, but we'll just fold it right now. That way if you guys have to get to another class or anything like that, you can, or watching later. So when we're folding this, we're gonna make our little step, right? So maybe if I hold it up like this, you can see. We're gonna fold this. This is our 1.5 inch one. We are going to fold it into a mountain fold. And then I'm just going to reinforce my score lines here. And then we're going to fold the second score line up into a valley fold. So it should look like this, where it's got the front here and then it dips down into like a triangle, so like that. And then we're going to make this one a mountain fold as well. So I'm just going to fold that. And it's as simple as that. This is actually a pretty easy, fun fold. And it folds up really small, but the dimensions will still give you a card that's basically A4, for those who do A4. Like I said, reinforcing your fold lines, just to make sure that it stays nice and flush. Okay. Like I said, you could glue the paper first and then do that, but I'm going to do it this way. Then we're going to take this one where we just made a score line at 5.5, and we're just going to fold that into a mountain fold as well. And reinforce our score line. So it should look like this, where you have a triangle that way. Now I'm going to glue the pattern paper for the most part on it first, and then we'll glue it all together. So starting with, just gonna grab my glue. I like the Nuvo glue, so that's what I'm using. Starting with our blue typewriter paper, I'm just gonna add glue to the back of it. Make sure your typewriter keys are facing up, and you're just putting that on the bottom step. And try to have as even of border as you can. Just realize mine's not that even. Well, not gonna worry about it. If I said something in the written instructions, please let me know. I will make sure to correct it if you're watching this or watching it during the replay. Must have cut mine at a 4.5 and wrote it down wrong. Then I'm gonna put this piece on the inside. It's just got larger borders, it's fine. So on the big area back here. Oh, thank you, Karen. I think I probably wrote down, I should have printed the instructions that I wrote in there. Yours will look better if it's 4.25 than 4.5. So hopefully that helps. If you guys have any problems, like I said, I'm going to do a second one with the dragon. So I'll make sure it's the right instructions on that. But again, it doesn't even really matter. Just try to, well, except that I kind of went a little bit over there. That's okay. I always say my cards are a little bit wonky. But you just have a little thicker border around the outside. It's okay. And then for the second piece that we folded, we're just going to add the purple in the middle. And use either side with this one, but I did choose the big plaid. Like I said, I'm still fairly new to this. Sorry, everybody. Thanks, Karen. So we're just adding that to the middle, and I must have cut this a little smaller too on my instructions. Because that has got a wider border. Well, that's okay. It's just an extra special one, I think. So once you've added your pattern paper, we're going to do the life is after. I'm going to add this to the step. So this is the only other hard part, really, and then the rest is pretty good. So, or pretty. Oh man, can't talk now. Breathe, Patti. The rest is fairly easy, is what I meant to say, and it's just fun because you get to just take all your decorations. So when you add this, you're going to add the bottom of the piece that has the flap to the bottom here. I'm just going to show you before I glue it down. And then I like to fold up the card so it's flat, including the back. So all the layers are flat. And then you're going to add glue to the back here too. You only want to do like a little bit. You don't want to glue the whole thing down. So maybe just like 1/2 inch. And then you're going to fold it like that and hold it until the glue is dry. Unless you use tape, that could work too. And the reason why you want to fold it flat is just so that everything is flushed, and that way it'll fold flatter when you go to put it in an envelope. I'm going to move mine over a little bit before I glue it down. Just try and center it as best you can, unless you want it off to the side. Oh, sorry, Karen. Yeah, I haven't glued it yet, so I can show. So this is your cardstock one with your base one, sorry. I'm just gonna you're taking your folds and holding them close. I'm just gonna watch my screen, it's really delayed on my screen, so I'm just gonna watch to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just holding them. They're not glued, they're just held together just to make sure that I have everything tight. And then I'm gonna take my second piece, the one that has the purple plaid on it, and add glue right here, and then I'm going to glue that with it all folded up down to here. You center it as best you can. Then while you can hold that while you glue the top piece. And I'll do it in a moment. I'm going to do it again, but I just want to make sure you guys know what I'm doing here. And then you're going to add just a little bit of glue to the back of this flap. And then you're going to fold it down. Hold it until the glue is dry. And then when you do that, then the card will lay flatter than if the first time I made one of these, it didn't fold flat. And the reason why was I had just left it all, I didn't fold it down before I glued everything. Does that make sense, Karen? Thanks. Okay, great. So I'm just going to quickly do that. I like repeating steps because I know I can sometimes see when I'm watching people do fun folds. I'm like, how did they do that? So if you ever need me to repeat something, not a problem. So like I said, just have glue on the bottom part. You just want to add glue, like I said, 1/2 inch. You would do less than what I probably did there. And have my card all flat, gluing that down, and just hold it in place for a moment. My glue dries fairly fast, but I'm just going to hold it, and then I'm just going to add glue to this side in just a small amount. Just around the top of the edge there, and then fold that down. And hold that in place for a moment. If you add too much glue, then you're going to end up gluing the whole thing down, and that's not what we want. So you just want it on the edge. Once the glue's dry, a little wonky. This is just going to be a wonky card. Then it'll fold like that. And then you have your base. Now, I then took this piece and I just added it so that it was, I had cut off the down here, but we're just going to hide it with the butterfly piece. So actually I'm going to add the butterfly first so that it says life is magical. And I did pop up the magical with some pop dots. Just grabbing some of those. You can always just glue it down or add some extra cardstock behind it if you want to pop it up. I just have pretty flat ones for my project. So flipping the magical over, I'm just going to add some pop dots to it. And I didn't recap my glue, so I better do that before it dries out. Like I said, a fairly easy card, and it just looks kind of cool because you have something that pops up. So I did just, in my case, my pop dots are kind of touching there, but that's okay. It's gonna touch the base. So I'm just adding glue to the back of this. And you actually just probably want to go right in the middle. You don't want to go all the way to the edge of your back of your paper because it'll hang off the sides there. And then I'm just going to add that to about here. And that just added a pretty decoration. Got to use this pretty butterfly, which I really like. It's so purple. I love purple. And then all we have to do is add our pixie. I just cut an oval shape. So if you have an oval shape, we cut that out of the typewriter paper, the blue typewriter paper that you have probably scraps of now. I, of course, didn't do that on right away. I should have done that. Well, thanks, Debbie. I'm just going to do the oval for the pixie to stand on. If you already did this, sorry. I should have been a little bit more prepared for that. Next time. All I could do is learn. So I'm just taking the typewriter paper that we had left over, and I'm just going to cut a little piece, and then I'm going to put it through my sidekick here. Oh, I'm off camera. My sidekick here. Use anything if you guys have like something that has a big enough ephemera that the pixie can stand on. You could use that. Or you could just, you know, you could put your pixie just right on the purple, but I wanted it to stand out against the purple because we're using a lot of purple for the color of the pixie. That makes sense? I hope so. I'm just grabbing my plates. I'm just gonna run this through quickly. I like this little sidekick for small things like this. But that's my oval. Just move my sidekick out of the way. And this just goes up here so that our pixie has something to ground it. So I'll just add some glue to it right now and then add my pixie on top. We'll be coloring the pixie up in just a second here. I'm just waiting for my computer to catch up here so I can see where we're at. Move these out of the way actually right now. I will be remaking the card. Maybe I'll just bring up my instructions to make sure I have my measurements right. Yours probably looks a little better because you probably cut the paper the proper way. But for the second card, I'll make sure that I have my instructions that I actually wrote on the PDF. So we're going to put that to the side and we're going to just color our pixie up quickly here. I did include a coloring chart. Sorry, it was separate from the PDF, but I do have to stamp out the pixie. Give me a second here. Now when I cut out my images, I cut it out with my silhouette. I cut it out without stamping first, but you may have already done that. If you did, you're ahead of me. It'll just take me a second to stamp this. So grabbing our storyteller set. I love these stamps. I'm so excited about dragons, and this pixie looks like a Cornish pixie from Harry Potter, so could color it blue like they are in the movies. I colored him purple because I like purple. So I'm just going to stamp him quickly. I know you guys all know how to stamp. And I'm stamping him in Whimsical Wisteria because I like it for a little bit of a no-line look. If you wanted to do him in Wicked Black, that's fine too. If you're a little afraid of coloring him without lines. So I'm just stamping him onto my Misty mat, and then I'm going to grab the little mask I made with my silhouette. And I'm just going to quickly line that up. And this is how I get pretty good borders around my stamped images, is I do it this way. I'll move this up a little bit. And then with my silhouette, I have them all cut out with nothing on them. I'm just going to pop it into my little mask here. Add my ink again. Stamp them down. And that was pretty good. He's pretty fairly easy to color up because he's so small. I kept the colors pretty simple, just so that you guys wouldn't be sitting here watching me for hours color. I'm not the fastest colorer. So I just have this mat here. It just has some sticky repositionable tape just to hold them down. And I'm going to make sure I'm on screen. I'll grab my markers and I'll make sure to put the cap in the center here so that you guys can see. Sorry, my tape's backwards, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to try and keep it here so that it's always visible. I'm going to turn my camera just slightly so that you guys can see it at an angle here too. Sorry, hopefully I don't make you too dizzy. I'm left-handed, so I'll try and keep my fingers out of the way. But we're going to start with B000, which is Pale Heath. I'm just going to add a slight base to the pixie. I'm going to zoom in a little bit too. If it lets me. Sorry, just a second. It might not let me. I'll just move my camera. Oh, there we go. Let's move my tape down. There. All right. Oh, excellent. Okay. I think we're okay. So when I'm coloring, I'm just actually going to move this just a little bit more to the side so that it's not giving me too much of a shadow. I think you guys can still see. I'm just waiting for my screen to get caught up here again. Yep, okay. So I'm just going to add, so on his ears here, I'm just going to add just the lightest layer, just the top of his ears, or her ears. Her face, I'm just going all the way around, and we're just going to color in like we do skin. Into the face. I forgot to take my other cap off and do that before it ends up smooshing or blobbing on me. Do his little hands here and just color them all in. Same with his little belly. Down his legs. And so I'm just adding just like the lightest layer like we would do it for skin. I normally would only do the face first and then go down, but he's so small that I'll just do it all. Oh, sorry, my hands are still in the way. Just gonna angle my camera a little bit more too. Let's see. Might be going the wrong way. Just waiting for my screen to get caught up here. That'll give me a status update would help. Yeah, I think that might be a better angle for you guys to see what I'm doing. So we did the first layer with V000, so 3 zeros on that one. And then I'm grabbing my V09, which is my darkest. And this is where I'm going to add my basically shadows. Now this image, like I said, is pretty small, so you could even just do that light layer and have one layer on here and he looks cute too. But I am going to add just a bit of shading just into his ears here. I just go very lightly and I just kind of touch the pen to the paper and I make little kind of backward C's. I'm going to add a little bit of a cheekbone in down here. You guys can see what I'm doing. Looks like you can. And that will just give me some shading. I'm just going to go up a little bit from the cheekbones. And then these books would probably be in front of his face, so we'll just add a little bit underneath. If this scares you, you can always go to your next color and add that in before you add the darkest. That's okay, Roberta. I'm glad to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Now I'm going to take my V04. We're going to do the face first because it's I don't want it to dry before we get to, if we do the body and then come back up to the face. So taking my VO4, I'm just going to go over what we just did and just extend it out. And then I'm going to come all the way up to where his little mohawk is and go down and around. I'm just kind of basically drawing in exactly where we were. In his ears, I'm going to go right over where we did and extend it up. The little tips will be the lightest color up here. And I did do it in the inside of the ears with the lightest. Hi, Kim. Hi, Anna. Hope your class went well. I'm excited to go watch it. Nice. Hope that went well for you, Kim. I'm excited to see what it looks like. I'm just coloring the pixie right now from Storytellers. I should have done him in blue so he looked like Harry Potter for Kim, but the Cornish pixie's in there. But I did do him in purple because that's my favorite color. And then just going over exactly where we colored, blending it out. Now I'm using Nina for my cardstock. If you're using a different one, it might not be able to add as many layers to it. And you may just, like I said, may only want to do 1 or 2 layers. I'm going to go back in one more time and do just to add more contrast and blend it out a little bit better. I just did the inside of his ears too. Hi, Mary. Hope you're doing well. So far, no more alerts from the weather gods. So I did warn people at the beginning of my live that we had emergency alerts all night last night. There is a wildfire going on not too far away from me, so that's also why my voice sounds a little rough, is there's a lot of smoke in the air. So far I'm okay, don't have to evacuate or anything like that. It's near me, but it's not that near me, and the wind was blowing in the opposite direction. So, but if you do hear a weird alarm all of a sudden go off, it goes past my do not disturb and everything like that. So I haven't had any this morning, so we shouldn't have a problem. So I'm just going back in with my dark again, my VO9, and I'm just adding, you probably even could just skip this step again. I decided I'm going to go underneath his mohawk there, and I'm just kind of adding more roundness to his face. This color is very dark compared to the VO4, so do want to be sparing with it. And then I'm going back to VO4, and I'm just going to blend that out. Now I'm adding a little bit more just to make sure that those colors blend a little bit better. Hope this all makes sense. And then with his ears, I just kind of went around with the VO4 on the bottom here, just to add some shading back down there too. And I left the middle, the purple, the lightest purple. Oh, sorry, Mary. Pat, sorry, I did it again. Ah. All right, Mary Pat, I'll remember that from now on. I tend to call people by their wrong name all the time, so sorry if I do that. I do try to make sure I put everybody's name properly when I do, like, type a message out, though. It doesn't always happen. I'm Patti with an I, and I'm actually Patricia, but nobody calls me that, so I get it. I understand. Sorry. I'm just going to do the face again. Just going in there. I'm just blending over top. Now my VO4 did get a little dark, but I'm not too worried about it. I went back into the ear again a little bit too, because it was looking a little pale for the rest. Now I'm going to go into his body and do that. So starting with my VO9, I'm just going to go where my shadow should be. So I like, with kneecaps, I like to leave the kneecap the lightest. So I'm just going to add a little tiny line there. If this scares you, like I said, you can just do maybe just the inside of his leg. Inside of his leg and up. And down his knee. This part's probably your darkest, under his little feet, or sorry, his little hands, and around. Again, the kneecap, just leaving the knee itself actually light and in. I do the hands and the feet last usually, just because I do struggle with those. No, don't you dare, Kim. I'll find some name for you. I've never, you know, it's funny. My mom named me Patricia. My papa was the only one who ever called me it, and I just let him because it was my papa. What am I going to do? But if anyone else did, I just wouldn't even acknowledge that they were saying my name. I was like, that's not who I am. As a kid, I just said, no, that's not my name. And I was like, yes, it is. And no, it's not. Didn't help that there's a certain song by Krista Berg that I really don't like, that my mom likes, and if you know the song, you may understand why I don't like being called Patricia. Probably didn't help when that song came out, that my mom's argument that I was Patricia. I'm like, nope, no, I'm not. So, sorry, I went VO4, I just went over the dark areas again, and I'm just going into the lightest over his knee now. And that just makes his kneecaps kind of stand out. Makes him a little bit like a wobbly knees. And I'm just going over the feet again. Because I did 2 layers on his face, and I am going to do 2 layers down here too. But I am going to skip VO9 this time. I'm going to just go to the VO4 because I left those areas are so small. And just, like I said, around his hand. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Over into the belly, on the back of the leg here, where the V is up here. The V is down here. Now these purples, I do have a problem with them bleeding. I think I have more problems with these ones than I do with reds. And with the toes, I have such a hard time getting individual toes on here. I just put little, basically the tiniest little line just where the knuckles are and where the fingers are in between. If they were bigger, I would probably sit there and actually work on it a little bit more, but because they're so small, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Then I'm going to take my V00 and color again. Over top of everything. If your V's go into the book a little bit, it's fine. We're going to be putting color over top of them anyway, and this is such a light color that they'll probably go over top. Okay, so that's the purples for the pixie. And then I chose some blues for the other parts of him, like his wings and the little mohawk. Actually, his wings I did in purple and blue. His little mohawk I'm going to do it in blue instead of in purple. And actually, I think I'll just do his wings in the blue too. We're going to add some stuff on top of it if you like. So no worries really what color it is. So I'm going to start with this little mohawk. I'm just adding BG00, which is pale aqua. And I'm just adding that to his wings and his little mohawk. His little fire or whatever that is at the top there. Just did a complete layer over top of that. Then I'm going to my BG02, which is called New Blue according to my markers. And I'm just going to start at the base of the mohawk and just kind of draw just a little bit of a line separating the two pieces there. And I go around the books on the side here and up a little bit. Around the books and up. Books and up. I'm going to leave the tips a little bit lighter. It's looking kind of messy on the screen, but hopefully you guys get what I'm doing here. And I'm just going back over with the BG00. I'm just going to go over all of it. Just to blend it a little bit. Should probably have my example of what the Pixie looks like in front of you guys too. Didn't think of that. Don't know if you can see. How can I do that without? Well, you guys can see in the photos. So that's the blue for the wings and the little hair. Now we're gonna do the books. And then once we're done that, we'll add a little bit, we'll add him to our card, and then I add a little bit of, you can either add stickles here, or I use the Nouveau Dream Drops, just to, with a paintbrush, I just basically painted it on. For the books, I'm gonna start with E50. And what I did was I basically just came up and colored anywhere where there was purple. I wanted to make sure that the book was basically this color, so that the 50 doesn't, or sorry, that purple doesn't blend with his hands. So I did this one in this color, the E50. Then I did up here, where the books basically touch the wings, I colored in E50 as well. And then just right in the middle. And I'm leaving these, I'll color those in blue. I colored this whole book in blue except for the little bands. And then I colored this purple, but I'm going to color them blue down here. Sorry to change it up on you guys. It was just the day I was coloring, I was having a hard time coloring. So I have a Chow marker, but this one is E53. Sorry, there's no label on it, but I can't find my other E53 at the moment. What I'm doing is I'm just basically drawing a little bit of a line under the book, like on the bottom, sorry, not under the book, on the book itself, just to give it a little bit of shading. Same with down here, and just especially around where the hands are touching the book. That's giving us a little bit of shadow. Again, such a small area, I could just leave it with E50 if you wanted. Look perfectly fine with that too. I'm just going back to E50 and blending that out. Then I'm going to go in with my blues again. What time are we at? Almost an hour. Okay. And, oh, let's start with my lightest color first, actually. And I'm just going where the bands are. They're such small areas that you could even just do BG02 in those areas. Now I'm going back over to the BG02, adding a little bit of blue at the bottom of each of the bands. And around the little hand here. And then I'll blend it out with BG00. I don't know if I added enough zeros. BG000. The middle book I'm going to color in the V's, but I'm going to skip V09. I'm just going to do V00, sorry, the V000 and V04. The reason why is I just wanted a little bit of a lighter book to contrast against the Pixie. So that was V000 and then V04. Just adding to the bottom of the book again. I did that. I normally would probably have picked some different colors for the books, but I wanted to keep this coloring pretty simple. But it was more the learning how to make the card was more the star of the show. I'm just going to add a blue to where the bands are. I'm just adding the BG02. Oops, sorry. So that's our Pixie all colored up. Now you could take your white gel pen, and anywhere where you want to add white highlights you can. I am going to take a black gel or black pen and just draw in his face here so that you can see his features better. And then I'm just going to, like I said, glue him to our card and add some Nouveau drops to the wings to make them shimmery. So grabbing a black pen that works with your markers, okay? I do this step last so that way I can cover up what we colored and make sure that I'm not getting too much bleeding. But I'm just putting his little eyes in, his little nose, and a smile. And if you wanted to, you could go around all these scrolls with, if you had like a purple gel pen. I don't know where mine is at the moment. It's probably hiding with my E53, so I'm not going to do that today. And I might just add some white highlights to, didn't actually do very much on this one. Maybe just the inside of his ears here to just give him kind of almost like hair texture in there. Maybe just a little bit of a white highlight on his little knobbly knees. And the wings will be covered with the Nouveau, so it won't matter with the gel pen. So he's looking on the screen like he's not blended very well, but in real life, I think it looks blended. Sorry, I don't know if it's my contrast on my computer making it look like that. But I'm gonna call him done for coloring. So I'll just take him, and I actually just glued him directly onto there. But you could pop him up too if you wanted to. Oh, sorry. Need to zoom out a little bit here. Just gonna be one moment. I'm just gonna move my camera. Sorry, I know that's hard for some people to see, but I'll zoom out. See a little better what I'm doing. So everyone, does anyone, I think everyone's just watching at this point, so if anyone needs me to slow down or wait a few moments while you finish coloring, let me know. Oh. Sorry, my comments just scrolled up. Give me a moment here. I also apologize too much. Sorry about, oh geez, I did it again. I'm very Canadian. What we decided on. Okay, nothing since Kim's message about calling me Patricia. So I'm just going to add the little pixie to our little oval here. And we're almost done this card. If you're tuning in late and wonder why my card looks kind of different than the sample, I gave the wrong measurements to cut the pattern paper. So we'll make sure to do that for the next one. You could always decorate, like put a little drop shadow down here, or you could, oh, sorry, my camera's still. I have to be as close as it gets. You can add maybe another sentiment up here if you wanted to. I think it's still cute. I'm going to, then all we did was we just added some gems. So I had some purple ones given to me in our little package here. I also have some little hearts, so you could add those too for the ephemera. I actually just went with 2 because the butterfly was so decorative already. Oh, it was a card. Thank you, Karen. You need to remind me when I go do the second one. I will do the second card, but feel free. I know you guys saw how to do this. It's exactly the same. I'll just make sure my measurements are right for the second one. But I'm going to do the same for the dragon. I will show how to color it too. It's fairly simple. The only thing is the dragon has bigger spaces, so you can get a little bit more detailed into it. But feel free if you have another class to go to at that point to go to the next class. I just want to make sure that I have both cards done for when people do watch the replay. So I'm gonna take the big gem and I just put it up here at the top. Again, put them wherever you feel like it. And actually it was a medium gem, medium purple gem for the top. I might actually put a little heart there too, since I had some extras. Feel free to, you know, make this card how you want to make it. So I'm gonna put a little heart here, even though I didn't in the first one, and then I'm gonna put the gem in the middle of the heart, just to give it a little bit of difference from the card base. A little bit of contrast. It looks like he really loves his books. Just like him. There. So on the back of my card, you'll see that when you turn it over, it's all blank here. Now this card is not one you really open to write a message in. You can. I did do it on the inside with some scrap. But I do find that you only have a small space here. So if you wanted to, you could put your message here on the inside of your card, or you could take some pattern paper and put it on the back here and write your message back on the back. Again, it's just a little tabletop card you can give to somebody. It can be, make these, one thing I thought of was you could make these into little, oops, sorry, I'm off camera again. Thank you for the 3 people who are watching. Hope I'm not confusing you too much. You could make these little tables with the toppers with the names on them for people at events and stuff like that. But I hope you like that one. So that one's done. I said when I make my other base, I'll make sure it's the right size next time. But even then, it's still pretty much, I did a few things differently, and there's just a little bit more of a space. And obviously this isn't equal, but it's fine. Thank you, Karen. Hope it's something that you can use for other stamps too. I just think they're kind of cool. But it's easy once you see how to do the folding. So those 2 are done. I don't know when the next class is, but if you guys need to go to the next class, you can. I'm just going to take the dragon and start coloring it before I make the next card, since it's exactly the same. It's just we're using different papers, and I cut the little ticket in half, but everything else is the same. I'm even using pretty much the same color scheme for the dragon. But just for consistency, I'll make sure that one's colored up too, and the card will be made. Thank you again, Karen, for reminding me that I did the wrong base size. Make sure when I go to do the next one, it'll be the right one. And I'll put a note at the beginning. Hopefully I can do that. I'll have to figure that out to make sure that people know that I messed that up a little bit. So taking our super cute dragon, I love dragons, so I was excited to see Sabrina draw this one for us and get a stamp. So I'm just going to pop it into my Misty like I did before. And I'm just using the Whimsical Wisteria in case you're coming late. Pop that. And this is just grid paper. I actually just buy graph paper and put it in my Misty. I had to make sure today that I didn't have any spoilers for the next release on my mat. So first thing this morning, I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I had to change that out so you guys don't see what's coming up. Could have been a spoiler, and I don't like giving spoilers. Kim likes giving spoilers, but I don't. For those who don't want to be spoiled for things. Hope you guys join us for some of our challenges too. You can enter to win some goodies from Kim. And also take advantage of our sale, because there's so many cute stamp sets if you don't have them already on sale this weekend, and stencils and ink. So if there's any stamps that were catching your eye but you're waiting for a sale, now's the time to get them. So what I did was stamp the dragon, then I just put my mask in like we did before. And I'm just sliding that over a bit so that it's fairly equal. I don't always end up exactly equal, but it's better than if I tried to hand cut it. If I hand cut it, it would look a mess. But if you're able to do that, go for it. It's not exactly in there 100%, but it's fine. I always make sure I cut out more than one too, just in case it doesn't work the first time. I'm a little bit, I'm just gonna grab another one. The mask for the dragon's kind of off a little bit compared to the other one. This one does the same, it's fine, I'll just use it. Oh, of course. And that's why you put the mask around though and hope it stays in the same spot so that you can restamp it again. And I moved it. Okay, we're gonna use the one I just stamped. Hi, Carrie. I'm a little bit of a mess this morning, but we're getting there. So on this one, I might fussy cut so that it looks, but it's mostly on there. It would just be the wings that I need to fussy cut a little bit, maybe. I don't even mind that if it's not stamped perfectly. I'm going to add ink. Nobody's going to see that. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to do the dragon here again. And angle my camera hopefully a little bit so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, I think that should work. So the dragon, I'm just going to pull out the card so that I can keep an eye on what colors I used and where. The dragon is quite, got lots of area for contrast, which is great. I like contrast. So I'm going to start with my V's. So starting with V000. In this case, because this image is longer, I'm just going to do the skin of the dragon here first and then do the body, so that it doesn't dry before I get the layers on. So I was taking my V000. I'm going to start with his head. Zoom that up a little bit so that it's not casting too much of a shadow, hopefully. And just like we do with skin, we're just going to go around the whole thing. Try to avoid the inside the glasses at the moment. I'm just adding a layer like we do with the skin when we do skin coloring most of the time. In his little nose here. I'm going to leave the nostrils. If you did color over it, it's not a big deal. I'm going to try and leave those white right now because they're going to be the light part on my dragon nose. And I'm going to go into my V09 and add my shading. Now when I colored this the first time, I wasn't super happy with him. I was having a hard time coloring that day. So I'm just going to be really cautious today. I like to make sure the nose is kind of the lightest part of his face so that it stands out. So this behind his nose should be the darkest. What I do when I do that is I kind of come from the nostril to the edge of the mouth here. going to add just a little line. And same with over here. And that's just giving me kind of an area to know not to color in there right now. Where his glasses touch his top of his nose would probably be a shadow, and it would probably leave a shadow on there. It's such a small area, I'm not going to worry about that today. I might even leave that a little lighter. But I did go right on top of his nose here. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And then I'm just going to come around the side of his face and up. Side of his face and up. We're going to try and keep the middle section here the light too. Now his glasses would be casting cast shadow too, but I did have a struggle with that, so I'm just going to leave it. We're just going to maybe add some shading after just to make sure that they look like glasses still. I'm going to come up around his horn on the back side of his little scale there, and then around his horn over here. Then I'm taking my VO4 and I'm just going to go and touch exactly where we colored before. I'm going to go in the nose last. That way I can make sure that I keep it lighter. Might just add a little bit down there with the VO4 and around the horn. And at this point I'm going to pull a little bit of the purple out, but not go all the way to the nostril. There, and then just up from the bottom on that side too. Hope that makes sense. Leaving lots of space here, but I'm going to add a second layer, so I probably have to blend out a little bit more than I did. Now I'm just going back over with the VO4 and blending where it touches. Again, trying to avoid the glasses at the moment. For some reason these V's today, and I had the struggle the other day, maybe I need to fill them up better. I just had a hard time getting them to blend properly, but I like purple, so I really wanted to go with it. I know in the last card I went back to VO9 for my second layer, but I think I'm just going to go to VO4. Sorry if I knock on the table and it's making it move a little bit. And I'm just going to go back over and extend this out a little bit. So up. And go more into the cheek here. Around the glasses, but not in the glasses. Around his head, I'm going to make that a little bit more prominent. And then I did miss down here. I'm going to not go in the glasses, but just add a little bit of an backward C, basically, or upside down C. You would be better to use. By doing this, we're going to make the nose pop out a little bit better too if you do it this way. Blend that out around the glasses, not in the glasses. Best you can. If you got into the glasses, it's fine. We're going to take the lightest shade and go into the glasses at the end. But right now I just want to try and contrast without it losing our shading. Now I'm taking my VO4 again. We're not going to use VO9 in the nose, because if we do, we're probably going to lose our detail. So with my VO4, I'm going to come around the bottom of where his bottom mouth meets the top of his snout, and just add a little bit of shading down here and around. Then I did basically under his nose and up, almost like a W. And then I just added a little bit at the top too. It does look funny right now, but when we add the nostrils in and stuff like that with our black pen, it'll look better too. So I'm just blending over with V000. You can now go into the nostril area too if you left that white. And down. And that just makes that a little bit lighter than the back of his head. I would make this a little darker, but we're going to move on from here. I'm going to add the nostrils in with a black pen. And I did add a little bit, it looks like I did add a little bit of the dark purple down here. I might leave that today though. If that bothers you and you want to add the purple in, you can. Sorry, the V09 is what I mean to say, not the purple. They're all purple. When I come back, I'll see if I want to add that. But I'm going to go on to his body so that you guys aren't here all day with me. And just like his head, I'm just starting with my V00. And I'm going to come down his neck, into his arms. And by adding this, I just find it blends a little bit better on the paper I use. And same with his shoulder over here. And his little hand holding the book. And then we'll stop. So I'm just doing them in sections, like I said, so that my pens blend a little bit better. I think that might have been a problem with the Pixie. Then I'm taking my V09. So there is, his shoulder is in front of his neck. So I'm going to add a little bit back here where his shoulder touches. I'm going to leave a little space where his head is. Actually, I'm going to color that in. So this is V09. It is our darkest, so it's adding our shadows. And come around his arm on the top there. Where the book's touching. If this scares you again, you could just add just a little bit there. Into his bottom of his fingers. And then just around there. And on the other side, the same thing. I'm going to go bottom of his fingers. And where the book is kind of touching there. And then I did come down his arms. On the back side of his arms. V04. And then we just blend where we just colored. I would say I'm not the fastest at coloring. I tend to take some time with it usually, but I also know you guys have other things to do today, lots of other classes, so not to rush it, but we are going to try and make this go a little faster than how I normally would color. Now I'm just taking my triple V0 and making sure I'm blending it. These colors tend to, I find the V's also tend to lighten up as they dry. So if you think your contrast is too much, and then again, my camera seems to be giving it a little bit more of a lighter or washed out tone than in real life, but I think it's probably because I have a light on. It's a little bit more vibrant in real life. So down here we'll probably add a shadow, but I'm just going to add, I'm going to color up until here. So I'll just make a little line so you guys know. We'll color his leg in. Just like skin, I just go over the whole base. Taking my V09. And I'm going to add my shadowing. So this hand would be in front of his leg here. So we'll just add some shadowing underneath so that we know that that hand is in front. In the back here on the underside of his tail will be darker. So I'm just adding my shadow in there. I find I like to go around ankles and up a little bit. Over here, I'm just going to add a bit of shadowing to this side of the leg so that this part's kind of the lightest. And then the side of the toes and over. Take my VO4, I'm going to go blend that out now. I'm just going to go up and over. And down. Make sure this part's dark. I'm just kind of leaving where my highlights should go. Again, you color it any way you want. If you like, I don't like the shadowing on that, then you can choose to do it a little bit less or choose to put your shadow somewhere else. I know how to add a little bit more VO4 here because I added way too much, or wait, not enough of it actually. And then back on his back. And we're just blending. Like I said, I normally do 2 layers, so I'm going with my VO4 and just add a little bit more. I probably won't go in with my VO9 again. And come up around the back of his leg and up, and actually a little bit over here too. Up from the tail because I didn't add enough VO4 there, and down. And I'm just building my layers to make it look more rounded. Go back in and blend that VO4 out a little bit. And that's giving me a leg, kind of his little bum, and now his tail. And I'm just, since I had the oh sorry, I forgot to put that down. V000, I'll just color the whole tail in right now. We'll add our shading to that. Put that out a little bit more. I did go into the scale here, and my pen is kind of, like I said, I do find some bleeding with the V's. Sorry, I just need to take a sip of something. Now I'm going to take my darkest color again. And I'm just going on the back side of the tail. I'm going to go up a little bit on the bottom here. I made that maybe a little darker than I wanted, but that's okay. So I'll just paper anyway. And that's just adding basically where the tail's turning and up. VO4, adding again, I'm going to go up a little bit more on the top of that part of the tail because I went a little dark here. Around the bend and down and extend. Same with here. I'm almost coloring that like how you would if you had like a curl of a hair. Then B000. My markers are bleeding a little bit, but that's okay. And you can add a second layer of the VO4 here, but I'm going to let it dry for a moment and then I'll add the VO4 because it's starting to just blend out. And then his wings. And that's, oh, I forgot his other leg here. First we'll do this leg. So B000, add the VO9 where we think our shading should be. Going around his belly a little bit. I actually just add a little bit of dark there just to keep the feet separate from the leg. You don't have to though if you don't like that look. Like I said, it's looking a little messy on camera, but in real life it doesn't look that way. Hope everyone's doing okay with theirs if you're coloring along. Sorry, I know this part can be a little bit tedious to watch if you're just watching. So I'm just not going to do a second layer. I probably would if I was just making it for me, but we'll be here all day if I continue coloring. So that's that leg, and then I'm just going to come in here, just see that I kind of need to blend a little bit more in his arm. And I'm just going on the wings now. I'm just hitting only the top of the wing. And then just like we did for the pixie's ears, I'm going to extend, oops, sorry. I'm going to take my VO9. I'm going to add my shading. So I did a line and a line there. I wanted to add a little bit here where the wings meet. So I'm just actually going to follow this whole line. Just going to do that, just make it a bit easier for us today. And then add some shading here. And then following the bottom of the wing edge and over. Now I'm taking my VO4 and just blending that out. I want to try and leave a little sliver so for the V000. If you don't, it's fine. But I just like having a little bit of a highlight on the edge of the wings. V000. And then I'm just going to take the V000 and just blend that out a little bit on his tail now that it's dried a bit. Just because it was getting quite a harsh line. Did get a little bit of bleeding with these markers today. But we'll be coloring the books in, so hopefully they don't show too much. So that's our purples for the dragon. Now you could take your darkest color and just make little tiny little lines all the way down, and that can just add just a little bit of a texture into his tail, or you could take little dots. I'm just leaving mine smooth today. I'm going to take my BG02 and my BG000, and we're going to color the inside the wings with this, his little belly, and the little scales and his horns. So taking my lightest color, my B000, I'm just going to start with the horns and just put in a little bit of color there. And in his wings, we'll just color it all. You could even just leave it like this light color. It looks pretty with just the light color on his wings. And if you didn't want to go with the BG02 after. His little body, just to give us a little bit of contrast between the purple. And under his tail, there's a little spot, which my purple is kind of bled out into, but that's okay. When I add the BG02, I won't notice. We'll just pretend it's a good ombre look. Now with my BG02, I'm just going to go on the bottom of the horn and up a little bit. Just at the edge of, I'm trying to leave just a little bit of space for the lightest color. With his wings, I added basically a line where the lines touch on this top piece and make an L shape. Leave a little white there, or a little lighter color there. In the middle one, I do tend to go on the bottom and I leave space where the lines meet. That's how I kind of make a little bit of almost like a pleat in the wing. And then same with this one, I want to make a little L shape against the line. And over. We'll blend that out. Same with this one, backwards L. And bring it out a little bit. This one, we're just going to make a little triangle in the middle, leave space between the two lines. And then backwards L. And I would do the, actually I'm going to do the belly. The belly, I'm just going to come around the side and under. Side and under. And then I'm going to add the blue. I'm just going to put all of BG02 under here because it bled in with the purple. Just make sure that looks a little bit more blue. Thank you for anybody who's sticking around. I know this has been long, but we're almost done. At least the coloring part. And then I'm just blending over where that BG02 is. By making this little triangle in the middle piece, it just gives you a little bit of a contrast so that it's not all just one blob. And I forgot to do the scales. So I might actually just do the scales in BG02 because my purple blended into them. I want to kind of cover up that purple. I forgot the top there. And that way it'll kind of match this too. What I do with scales usually is I just add a little bit of white highlight to the ends of the scales so that it makes it look like there's a little bit of light on them. So taking my BG02, I'm just going to color those in. And then, like I said, once it dries, I'll add some white highlights to them. Now, before I go on to the books, I just want to look at his face again. I think it's fine the way it is. I'm just going to add the nostrils in, just so that they stand out. And I'm going to do the glasses, but I'm going to do the glasses in the BG000. And that just makes them almost look like they have like a little sheen on them. So taking the BG000, just going to add that in, and then what we'll do is we'll add the white gel, or the gel pen in. And I'm just coloring the whole glass in. This will push a little bit of the purple out too, if you got a little bit of the purple in the glasses. And I'll grab my gel pen, or my black pen, and add my nostrils back in. Oops. And his eyes. What I did on mine was I actually came around and drew the glasses in with my gel pen. And that way you can tell that there were glasses. Now for the books. I'm almost done coloring. Taking my E50 and E53. I'm going to start with the bottom book. And all I did was I made this part E50, colored in. Oops, pulled out a little bit of purple. You always color the books first if you're worried about that. And I'll leave the bands, we'll color those different colors. Then in my example, I did make this book blue, but because it's touching this part, I'm gonna actually make this part beige for today. Just so that that stands out a little bit better. And this book I will color in, I might do purple here, and I'm gonna do beige in the middle. Just to make it faster today. Because I have the blue and the purple, I didn't want the purple touching purple. If that makes sense. All right, E53. And I'm just going to make my L shapes. So bottom and around, bottom and around. Always add a little bit of shading around where the tail's kind of meeting the book. Bottom and around. Same with this one. Go where you think your shading's going to be. I'll put a little bit of shading on the top book because that would be dark. Oops, I just realized I missed a piece. Right there. And then blend out with your E50. And then I'm going to take just my darkest colors for where I want to put them. So BG02. So I said I'd color this one blue. And this one has 2 on it, so maybe we'll do blue and then purple. So that's gonna be purple, that's gonna be purple. I'll have to think about that. I'm gonna just color these ones blue. I'm coloring my purple, then I'll come back to that one that's missing there and decide what I want to do. Maybe I'll just do like a lighter purple. Taking my V09. Going where that scale is, but not actually touching the scale. That's just giving me some contrast between them. Now this one I might just do V04. Actually, that's what I'll do. V04. That way we just have purple against blue. We don't have any of the purples against purple. That should be good. Just have to color in the book. And then we are done coloring our dragon, and you can add your white gel pen, your stickles if you want to the wings. And then I'll just quickly make the card base again for the second one with the right dimensions next time. Again, if you did follow me on the first one, it's fine. It just has a little bit more of a border than it should have. So when I color in my books, I do tend to come underneath where the hand is, around the hand, and make sure to hit where the spine is, because the spine should be probably the lightest color. Up and around the hand. And then when I do my pages, I just do all the pages in this E53. You could always, if you're okay with fine lines, you could always just leave a little gap between and just make a little C, backward C shape. Blend out with the E50. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of purple up here. Just where the bands are, I'll just make a little band. It didn't stamp very well, so we'll just pretend. And then where the little ends meet, little corners are on here, you could always make them gold or something like that if you wanted. I'm just gonna do them in purple. And you could take your gel pen and you could always write something if you wanted to there in the spine. I did his eyes, I did his glasses with the pen, I did his little nostrils. I might just go in here and just draw a little bit of a... I'm gonna make his mouth dark there, just because. And I don't think I added anything to, I'll just add maybe a little scroll. There, just add a little bit of something. So that's my dragon all colored up. And just so that we make sure that we actually do the full set of cards here, I am going to make my base for, it'll be quick, for the card. So I'll bring in the card, we'll just zoom out. And grab all the papers we need for that. I'm going to turn my camera a little bit here. And then zoom out. In. So I'll just keep my card here in the corner. I'm just going to pull my camera up a little bit so you guys can see it. You guys can see what papers I use mostly. All right, so we're going to do this the right way this time. Make sure I cut my base the right way now. All right, this is the problem I had last time. Sorry, just moving some stuff out of the way so I can bring my trimmer in. So I'm gonna bring back my measurements, but I'm just gonna write down that I did do one wrong on it. I have a little scoring guide and cutting guide. So when I made this the first time, I made my base wrong. So we're gonna make sure we do it right. It's 4 1/4 by 9 inches long. I did do 4 1/2 on the last one. So taking our cardstock or whatever cardstock you want to use for your base, and I cut mine at 9 inches. Oops. Still see. Let's close your eye out of the way. Okay. It's gonna, I have to move it that way. So cutting my base at 9, and I do it on the length side, so the 11 inch side. Keep that piece and use it for something else. And then this time I'm gonna make sure I do 4 1/4 instead of 4 1/2. So 4 1/4. And we do need this piece. Then I am going to score my base at 1 1/2. Oh, sorry, 1 1/4. Just going to this one the same size, basically. Okay, ignore what I just did there. Sorry guys, I'm getting tired. All right, so 1 1/4. And then I'm going to score it at 2 1/2. And then I'm going to score it again at 5 3/4. So I'm just moving along my line. I just use my trimmer for this, if you weren't here for the first part. So again, we have 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 5 3/4. And put that to the side. Then we're going to ignore that I scored that. Taking my second half that we cut off, and make sure it's 8 1/2. So I'm just going to cut off most of that. We're going to ignore my score line on that one. And I am going to score this one at 5 1/2. The length side, one side. Oops, I forgot to cut it. So this one's supposed to be 8 1/2 by 2 1/2. It's okay that I scored it. It'll be fine. And then, again, ignoring this score line, using this one, we'll fold this one in half, make a mountain fold. So fold in towards yourself. So it looks like this. Just waiting for my camera to get caught up here. Sorry, my laptop's being weird. Just a second here. I guess just because my cord is, hopefully it's just my cord. It's leaning over top of it. Okay, and I am going to move my trimmer out of the way. So I won't need it now. And if you wanted to this time, you could decorate first and then score it up. Or oh, she's Karen, I'm sorry. I'm going to just redo this. Okay, I'm just going to grab another piece of cardstock. Thanks for understanding, Karen. Thanks for sticking around. All right, we're gonna do this again. Taking our 8 1/2 by 11 sheet. Flipped my trimmer around. All right. So we are gonna cut our page into 9 inches long. What I'll do is probably ask Kim if I should just make a disclaimer at the front of the video or something. Saying I got my measurements wrong. Okay, 9 inches long, 4 1/4 inches wide. Four and a quarter. Then we're going to turn our paper and we're going to score it at 1 1/4. Then we're going to score it at 2 1/2. And 5 3/4. Okay, put that one aside. Then I am going to we're going to take this extra sheet and we're going to cut it at 2 1/4. on the long side. Or short side. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired, guys. But I'm trying, at least you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully that helps. So taking our second piece and we're gonna cut it at 2 1/4 by 8 1/2. See all the cardstock I have just sitting here, and I don't think I got that straight. Oh well. Oh no, it is. Okay. This is my eyes. And then we're going to score it at 5 1/2. Thank you, Karen. And now I'm going to take my trimmer and put it away. Until I need it for cutting the paper for the pattern paper. We're going to fold our card. So we're going to start with our skinny piece. That is 8 1/2 by 2 1/4. And we're going to fold it at the score line and make a mountain fold. Mountain fold is a triangle that goes like this. Just waiting for my camera to get caught up here on my computer. Okay, put that aside. Then we're going to start with this one and having it this way. This is with our small piece on the bottom. We're going to fold up towards us, so valley fold. Then we're going to flip it over and do a mountain fold at the second score line. And then we're going to fold this one in for another mountain fold. So when you hold it on the side, I'm just going to reinforce my score lines here. So the card is going to look like this. So it's got a triangle and a big triangle. By reinforcing your folds, it'll make sure it folds flatter. So you may want to do that if you haven't. We're going to move on. But our card then just sits like this. Just waiting for my camera to get caught up again. Like that. And then we're going to take our pattern paper from our kit. And this one is a little bit easier. Just move the cardstock out of the way that we don't need. So you could either use, if you still have some of the plaid paper from the other card, we'll need a piece of the plaid paper. I like having this little blue section. So we'll need one of that. Mine's cut in pieces just because we were given just certain pieces of the card kit. But you may have more. Then we need the pretty black floral piece. On the back it has letters on the back. Oh no. We have more of the black typewriter paper. And you need the black typewriter paper. I just realized when I cut my paper for the first card, I cut it like this, but it really should be long. So I'm just going to grab another piece. You guys probably have a scrap of it from another card. I got half a sheet of this, so I have to use what we have. But I do luckily have the paper line, so I'm sorry if this doesn't work out. You could use any other scraps because it's just what you need is a 1 inch by 4 inch pattern paper for the bottom here. So I'm just going to grab the other typewriter one I have from my collection. That's blue. I might have it in a bag here. Nope, that one's on too. Okay. I'm sorry I did this card a couple weeks ago, and I probably should have done it again just to make sure I knew what I was doing a little bit better today. So you're just gonna have, hopefully you have a scrap of this that's going lawn-wise like this. If you don't, I'm sure you have other patterns. Could use this one on the bottom, because I have that. You could use this if you wanted, if you didn't have the black one. Oh, thanks, Karen. You're very sweet. And thank you for sticking it out. It's been a long video. I'm a little bit tired because I don't know if you heard at the beginning that there was a wildfire by my house. It's not near me, but emergency alerts kind of kept me up last night, and then I couldn't sleep very well, worrying about things that didn't matter today. I am going to cut my black piece first, so we're going to cut it at 1 inch high by 4 inches long. If you didn't have that and you want to use something else, yeah. Everything's okay at my house. But the wildfire that was going on, they had to evacuate a whole bunch of people, horses, pets last night, about 3 kilometers away, but it's about 10 blocks away from my house. So I was a bit worried that I would have to evacuate last night, but luckily the winds were blowing in the other direction, so I didn't have to. I'm just concerned about, of course, I'm a vet tech, so my heart goes out to hopefully none of my clients' pets were trapped in that or anything like that. I am going to use this piece and cut it 1 inch off the bottom here. It's all striped on the back, so it doesn't really matter which one if you wanted to use the back of it for something. And 4 inches across. Hopefully I did that right today on this one. Looks like I did. So I'll go down there. I actually do have some of the blue paper, so you could use the blue paper on the bottom step if you ran into issues. Oh, we need the rainbow piece for back there. Sorry. We need the back side of the black dots. You can, if you have something else you want to use, you can use that instead. But that actually almost is perfect size. I must have already cut that for something to go on the inside here. And I'll just measure it out for you, but I believe it's 4 by 3. Yep, it's 4 by 3. And the stripes, so the 4 edge is this way, the 3 edge is that way. So that's already cut for me, so that's nice. And then I'm going to take my purple plaid paper, and I am cutting that at, sorry, just finding my instructions here. 5 1/4 by 2 inches. So cut my 2 inch mark first. And you can decide if you want to use the big plaid or the small plaid. Oh, jeez. I was looking at the wrong card. I am so sorry if you're watching this and going, Patti, I'm trying to follow your instructions. So this should have been, I'm sorry, the purple piece should have been this piece here, but I'm going to use the stripes. It's already cut. I'm so sorry, guys. Thank you for understanding. So this piece should have been the piece that we cut 5 1/4 by 2 inches. But if you did already cut the purple, it's fine. You can use the purple behind the dragon instead. So that's what we're going to do. Like I said, I'll make some notes to let people know that I didn't do this right today. Let's see what Kim has to say. So I'm cutting my purple piece. I've committed now, so that's going to go behind the dragon now. And we need our stripe piece slash, if this should have been the purple, if you're following exactly how I did it the first time. Just putting that like that. We have our typewriter paper that goes on the bottom step. So my card's going to look slightly different because I did that wrong. If you don't like the purple piece, because against that stripe it's a little bit busy, I'm going to take this piece just trying to decide, sorry, just give me a moment here, just trying to decide what to do to fix this. So you can have an extra piece of purple if you want it for something else. I decided actually I do want to use this one. Oh, guys, sorry. Luckily you can use the scraps for another project. So I cut that the flower piece at 5 1/4 by 2 inches. I just think against the dragon it's probably better that it's darker. So I used a lot of purple. Okay, and that's gonna go where the dragon is. That's gonna go down there. Yeah, okay. So this piece is striped, but it should have been the plaid, but we're not gonna worry about that right now. We're just gonna get this card done. So just like we did the first time, we're gonna glue our paper to our cardstock pieces. So taking my, let's move this out of the way. So taking my typewriter paper, I'm gonna put that on the bottom step here. So that's going to give me my typewriter paper. I'm going to take the stripe paper and put it behind where my little step is. So there's that. And we're going to grab our piece that we scored. I'm going to put our flower piece here. You can decide which way you like the flowers because it depends on which way you cut it, and that's how the flowers are going to show. I have a little bee. I like the little bee kind of flying up to the flower, so I'm going to do it this way. You can always change it over to the lovely letter paper on the back, so whatever works. I just think purple against purple, you want maybe a little bit of contrast. And that's just going on the front flap. Once we're done that, we're going to glue this all together. Just like I said before though, you want to hold this together. I just need something to drink. One moment. When you glue it, you want to hold this all together. And the reason why is then it'll fold flat for when you want to put it in an envelope. If you left it like this and you glued it here and you glued it on the back, you might not necessarily have a card that'll fold flat on you. I learned that the hard way. So if you hold it together, you're gonna add glue. And when you add glue, you're just gonna add glue to right here. Don't glue all the way up, or use tape, but just glue a little bit, like even 1/2 inch across. And you want to glue all the way across. So I just add a squiggle of glue. I'm not very accurate with it. Again, holding the card base, the second piece in my hand, I am just going to line this up. And kind of hold it down. Like I said, I'm holding it all together, except for the flap up here right now. I'm just gonna let that glue. It only takes a few seconds. Tape might work better just because then you don't have to wait for the glue to dry. Then I'm gonna flip my card over. I'm gonna add glue just the edge, and you don't want to go too far down because we only want it to basically attach here. And then fold that down and hold that together. I'm gonna take a few moments here just to let that. If you wanted to, you could take another piece of pattern paper, put it on the back here. If you wanted to hide your edges, that can look really pretty. If you have a lot left over, or if you cut things wrong like me, you can always use the scraps on the back. You can always put it in the inside. You can always write your message here too. And so once the glue is dry, then it folds open like that and gives you this pretty card that you can use to display it. We're gonna then take our dragon, and we colored up, and we're gonna put him here. So that's why I decided on the flower paper instead of the purple. But if you did do the purple, it's fine. It's gonna look fine. I'm just gonna glue just right in the middle. I'm not gonna glue his wings because they're gonna kind of overlap the outside a little bit. And I'm just placing him kind of in the middle here. Actually, just down a little bit. We want to have a little bit of room down here. I probably should have done that first, where we put our little sentiment before we put him down, but that's okay. He can stay up there. So how I did the sentiment part was we just quickly, it won't take very long, I'm gonna grab our ephemera, and you should have this word dream in your ephemera kit. Just gotta find mine. I'll put that over here. Oops, sorry. The other one you could use is, I also have the perfect day, which look really cute with the dragon actually reading, if you wanted to use that one instead. Just gotta find my dream. Where did my dream go? It's just hiding on here. Should be with the, oh, there it is. Gotcha, yeah. All right, sorry about that. So we are going to put our dream down here, but before we do, I'm just going to add a little bit of a purple ticket. How I did this was I cut it in half though, so that I could have a little bit up here and a little bit down there. And we'll just to give it a little bit more of a decoration, especially black on black. I thought maybe it would look a little bit, stand out a little bit more with a little bit of purple behind it. So I'm just taking my trimmer and I'm just going to cut the ticket in half lengthwise here. You could use scissors too if you wanted. It doesn't have to be super accurate. Just want to make it straight. And I'll give you, see, I didn't even cut it in half properly, but that's fine. If you're worried about cutting it, you can always just glue it and just have one piece. And with the dream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a little bit of glue to the back here. And I'm going to take my ticket. I'm going to take the bigger piece of the ticket and I'm just going to put it behind. And I did line them up, but I kind of like it a little bit off. So I might actually not line it all the way up today. So I'm just leaving kind of a little bit of an edge here. And then you can take, let that sit with the glue. Tape might work better there again. I just use glue for everything. I just seem to find it works better for me left-handed. And then I'm just going to add glue to the back and then put in the tag, the other half of the tag on the bottom here. That one I may actually go in a little bit. And that's just giving us a little bit of a layered look. And then you could just leave it like this and it looks cute, but I did add a little bit of a scrap of the black. Now, I think I did that because I had lined it up a little bit. So if you want to, you could take some of the black typewriter paper, cut out a little strip of it, or use a little scrap to put it behind there. I'm not going to on this one today. Hope that's okay. Yeah, it just gives you a little bit extra, right? It's so if you're like, oh, I only have one of those pretty purple tags, then you can have two and they won't know. It just looks like it's behind there. I'm just trying to decide if I want to do the black on top or if we're just call it. You know what? I think we'll just call it. If that's okay with you, Karen, you're the only one here. Let me know. You can always use one of your other scraps too if you wanted. Sorry, I just realized I'm not on camera again. Can't see what I'm talking about. So in my example, you can see I used black back here, but because this pattern paper is black too, I don't know if we necessarily need it. You can't even really tell in the example. Versus this one, I thought I'd just do the purple. You like it? Great. Then we could be done, right? Thank you. Again, I really appreciate you sticking this out and helping me with my measurements. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy some of the other classes today too. And I'm just adding glue to the back. And mostly in the middle. You could touch the edges of the tag or the ticket here, but don't go all the way to the end. I did a little bit there, but it's fine. Using glue, it dries. The reason why you don't want to really necessarily go all to the end is, actually it might not matter on this one. So we try not to add glue here so that you don't end up sticking it. I'm just going to put it down. Then if you wanted to, there's lots of hearts in our kits and stuff like that. You can just add another little heart like we did with the pixie, although against that that busy pattern, it doesn't really show there. I might not, just because it's got busier patterns than originally. Don't think even that one doesn't really stand out. Could put it here though. Yeah, I'm gonna add the little heart down here. Decorate it however you like. When I save those hearts for another project, that's totally fine. And then I just added gems to here. I had a little pink one and had a little purple one left over. Now, if I can find them. Oh, I found one, I think. They unfortunately like to disappear. So I have one little pink one and put that one up there. And then I would add a little purple one, but unfortunately I think I managed not to get exact numbers on my gems. Actually, maybe I'll put it right there. And I'll probably just get another purple one from my stash, and you could use blue. That makes that card. So it's a little different than my first one, and I added a way more contrast on my first one because I did go on with the second layers, but they're both cute. No one's really gonna notice. And I hope you like this project. Like I said, very easy. It helps when you do the cutting, right? So I do thank again you, Karen. And anyone who is watching the replay, if something is really confusing, yeah, that's the nice thing about this kit. All the papers match. So if you have any questions or you're just kind of confused over some of the things I mentioned, please just hit hashtag and put my name in it, and I'll make sure to answer any questions. I hope you have a wonderful day and hope you enjoy the rest of the retreat. If you have any questions, Karen, feel free to just comment or message me. Thanks. Have a lovely day. Oops.